Hello, this is Mohan Kelkar. With recent completion of COP30 meeting in Belém, Brazil, I wanted to take a look at what was promised and what was accomplished after COP20 meeting in Paris. Welcome. Today we are taking a hard look at the gap between climate diplomacy and energy reality. As we finished COP30 in Belém, Brazil, it is time for a sober assessment of the Paris Accord. We often hear about the targets and pledges, but as someone who has spent a career in the energy and fossil fuel sectors, I believe we must look at the data so that what is actually happening on the ground. Let us go back to 2015. The Paris COP meeting was a massive undertaking involving 195 countries and 150 heads of state, including President Obama. With 35,000 delegates and hundreds of private jets in attendance, the optics were of a world united. But while the ceremony was grand, the pillars established there created a framework that prioritized top-down management over market realities. The accord rests on five key pillars. First, keeping global temperature rise well below 2 degrees Celsius. Second, reaching net zero emissions by 2050. Third, setting ambitious emission targets called NDCs every 5 years. Fourth, a global progress assessment. And finally, a pledge by developed nations to provide financial and technological support to the developing world. What does the science actually say about our path? According to 2022 United Nations Assessment Report, the most likely scenario is a temperature increase of approximately 3 degrees Celsius by 2100. While extreme worst case scenarios are often used to create panic, the data suggest that they are exceedingly unlikely. We have already seen a rise of 1.2 degrees Celsius. The challenge ahead is a further zero point 0.8 degrees Celsius to 2.3 degrees Celsius. A significant range, but one that requires management, not catastrophic branding. The International Energy Agency suggests a more plausible path based on the current and pledged policies. You will notice a major gap between mitigation required for 1.5 degrees Celsius and where the world is actually moving. The 1.5 degree goal is increasingly viewed as a diplomatic aspiration rather than a physical reality given the current global energy mix. This is a reality check. Look at the divergence between the Paris projections and actual emissions. Despite every headline and every summit since 2015, the actual emissions have deviated significantly from the projected path. While the rate of growth has slowed over the last decade, the trend remains positive. Pledges on paper do not automatically translate to a reduction in the carbon molecules in the atmosphere. There is a significant gap between what was pledged and what was achieved. Why the gap? It is because NDCs are voluntary and not legally binding. In 2020, these commitments delivered only 4 gigatons of CO2 equivalent reduction, missing the expected target by 20 gigatons. Even with new updates for COP30, these targets fall far short of 1.5 degrees Celsius pathway because they ignore the fundamental human drive for prosperity. The global stocktake at COP30 confirmed what the data already showed. The world is not on track. We see calls for just transitions and substantial climate financing, but these are top-down solutions looking for a problem they cannot solve through mandates alone. The focus needs to shift from trying to stop energy use to creating climate-resistant, prosperous economies through adaptation. Then there is the money. The Paris Agreement committed $100 billion per year to developing nations, a commitment that has not been met. Now, COP30 is pushing for $300 billion in public finance and dreaming of $1 trillion per year. My assessment? It's not happening. Wealthy nations are struggling with their own economies, and taxpayers are becoming wary of funding top-down global redistribution. The conclusion is clear. Progress is made through improved technology and human prosperity, not government mandates. CO2 emissions continue to increase because the world needs energy. A 3 degrees rise by 2100 is a challenge, but it's a manageable one through adaptation and ingenuity. Let us stop creating panic and start creating cheap energy and technology that allow humanity to thrive and adapt. Thank you.